All right, we're going to put it on here like this. We're going to put this over the top of it. Now we're going to tap it a couple times. It turned a little. But we're going to put a little bit of penetrating oil on it. And then we're going to turn it back in, just so we can make sure it comes out without breaking. Okay, so now we got that out. Okay, now we'll put this on the side. A lot of guys like to throw these away. If I can reuse them, I always try to reuse them. So put it on the side for now. And for now, we're just going to leave this sit, and we're going to remove that caliper. And the next thing we're going to do is let's get our bucket underneath here, because we are going to drip a little bit of brake fluid when we take this out. Okay, we're going to take a pair of pliers such as this, and we're just going to pinch the brake line right here very, very lightly. We're not going to damage it. We're just going to hold it just to keep the fluid from dripping through it, just like that. Okay, that's all we're going to do. Next thing we're going to do now is we're going to come in here and we're going to take off that nut for the brake line itself. And just so you know, that's 12 millimeter. But yours may be different. Okay, so you have your bucket there because it may drip a little bit. Okay. Now we are going to take that washer. Make sure the washer is on here and not stuck on here, because this we're going to throw away. And we're going to be replacing, where are you? This we're going to be throwing away, and we're going to be using a new one. All right, the other washer is now stuck on here, which is okay because we don't need it. We'll put that right like that. Next thing we're going to do now, we're going to come up underneath here, and we're going to loosen up those screws that hold the caliper to the mounting bracket itself. They're usually not really that tight. You can just turn them out. Now, if you can't get on it with a ratchet such as this, then you can get in here with a 14 millimeter wrench like that and just break it right loose and take it out. Now, if you try to take these screws out here and they don't come out, or they just spin and don't come out, then at that point you want to grab a 17 millimeter wrench and you want to hold the slide pin right here so that it doesn't rotate when you try to remove that bolt right there. Okay? Just like this. And now our caliper is ready to be removed from the vehicle. Now we are going to be replacing it. We're not going to keep it, so we're just going to pry that off. Okay, so now we're just going to pry this off. You can use a pry bar, a screwdriver, whatever you have to get it off. It really doesn't matter. And we're going to come back to this in just a second. Okay, we'll put that down there for now into the bucket, just like that. And we'll leave it there for 1 minute. Now we're going to take this mounting bracket off right here. And again, that was 14 millimeter in the back there as well. I'll bring it in there. I'll show you what they look like. Right, 14 millimeter. Okay. And we're going to take the two of them out. They may be a little rusty, and you want to break them both loose first before you take either one of them out. Okay? These are a little bit rusty. I can feel they're very tight. So we're going to spray it with some penetrating oil. Let's take these brake pads out of the way. Okay. Now we can spray it a little better. Okay. And now we'll take the bolts out the rest of the way. And then off comes the mounting bracket itself. Now we're going to put this down here for now. Remember, we're going to use these bolts over again, so hold on to them. We're going to take this rotor off the car. And as you can see, it's pretty rusty. All right. Okay. Next, we're going to come in over here, and we're going to use a scraper to clean this off here. If you don't have a scraper, you can use a chisel, you can use a file, you can use emery cloth, or you can use a disc to clean it up. Whatever works for you. All right, so we're going to do that. But before we do that, let's replace our caliper with the new one. Okay, so now we're going to be doing this in this bucket just so we don't make a mess. Next thing we're going to do now is going to take our caliper here, and you see this clip right here? We need to get that clip off. So you can get in here with a screwdriver such as this and pry it up, just like that, a little bit at a time, and you'll see this starts to move up. And now you want to get this in here, right underneath there, and just pry it, and it comes right out. Hold your hand over it because this clip will go flying. Hold the clip out, and we're going to put this on the side. We're going to reuse it. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to pull it just a little bit here, just like that, and we're going to unhook it right from down there. The way you do that is just go on here with a socket, just like this. And I'm going to try to see if you can see this. Rotate it like that. Grab a pair of pliers and just pull that off. Let it go. Just like that. Take our ratchet back off. Take this out. Just like that. I know that looked easy for me. I know you're going to have a problem with it, but just take your time and you should be fine. Okay, we'll put this down on the side like this for now. We're going to take our new caliper and we're going to match it up just to make sure it's exactly the same. Our bleeder is here, our inlet is here, and the cable connects on here for the parking brake, so this looks okay. We're going to disconnect this mounting bracket now, and we're going to take the mounting bracket off of the caliper just temporarily. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Now you remember how I showed you how to do it? You just take the caliper, put your wrench on here like this, take this one, put it on here like this, and then you just squeeze it. And it breaks loose just like that. Now obviously with two hands it'll be a lot easier, but I'm trying to do it one-handed. We'll do it just like this, and squeeze it. Okay, now we'll take the mounting bracket off. Take those screws out that we just loosened up. We are going to use the new screws, just so you know, we're not using the old stuff. We take this and put this down. Let's take this one out too. Okay. Take our mounting bracket off. Let's put that down somewhere here. And now we're going to put this back through here. Put it through here like this. Right? We're going to take our clip that we previously took off. And then once you have it caught like that, you can grab a hammer and just tap that clip all the way down like that. Next thing we're going to do now, we're going to come in here with our ratchet like this. We're going to turn this down like that. And then we're going to hook that piece on there just like that, and then let it go. And that's it. Our parking brake is now attached. We're going to take out this little piece here. We're going to put it in the old caliper that we took off, just so we don't have a mess. We're going to get this one out of the way for now. So now we have our caliper is all mounted up. Our parking brake is on. We're going to put this off to the side right here for now, and we're going to come in here and we're going to clean this up. We are going to put this off to the side so it doesn't get all dirty, okay? We're just going to hang it up out of the way. Let me get a hanger and we'll hang that up. These hangers come in really very handy. Take a look at my Amazon store and you'll see them in there. They're very, very cheap. We're just going to take it like this, and we're going to hang this up out of the way, just like that. Just like, where are you? Just like that, okay? Now the next thing we're going to do, like I said, we're going to come in here with a scraper, clean this off here. If you have a wire wheel, you'll hit it with a wire wheel. If not, anything that you use to scrape it, as long as you get all that rust off, you'll be in good shape. All right, so now let me clean this up. Once it's clean, we'll come back and we'll start putting this thing back together. Or the hub bearing itself all cleaned up. We have all of the rust off of here. We're going to put some kind of anti-rust stuff on here right now to keep it from rusting in the future. All right, so let's do that first. You can usually brush it on with a brush. You can do it by hand, whatever works for you. This will keep it from rusting. It won't stop it completely, but it'll slow it down in the future. Some of them come with a brush. Some come with a spray. This one comes with a brush, but I left it at work. So we're just going to do it by hand, just like that. And now this will keep it from rusting in the future. Okay? And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our rotor, and you can see our rotor is brand new, but it does come covered with an oily substance here, so we're going to need to clean that off. But before we do that, we want to match it up against the rotor that came out to make sure it's the exact same size, which it is. And we are going to stand them side by side. Put them side by side down here. Hopefully you can see this. Just like this, to make sure that they're the same height right here. And you can see they are the same height. All right, so that's going in there. This we're going to put right here. Let's get some cleaner. Let's clean this up a little bit. Now there's all different kinds of brake cleaners. This just happens to be the one that I'm using. And we're just going to clean it up just a little bit. We're going to come back and clean this up a little later on. But for now, we're just going to get the major oil off of it. And before we finish the whole job up, we'll do it again. Okay? This will eliminate the amount of smoking that's going to take place. All right, now we're going to turn this until we come up to that area right there where the screw was, and we're going to put that screw back in there. So we're going to line it up just like this, put it on here like this, push it in, and now we're going to put that screw back inside there. Here's the screw. I'm going to lubricate the threads just a little bit. Just a little bit on that screw as well. And now we're going to screw it in here. Now remember, the one was already broken off, so nothing we can do about that. The reason I like to use these is because when you put it on, the rotor doesn't move, and you can work without this falling off or moving around while you're working. All right, we're just going to tack this on just a little bit, just to make sure it's tight. You don't have to, but I do. Okay. So now our rotor is on. We're going to spin it, make sure we have no contact with anything that's rusty, and it's quiet. So we're going to move to the next step now. All right, next thing we're going to do, this is our mounting bracket. We're going to put this lubricant, it's a brake lubricant. We're going to put it here underneath where the mounting hardware is going to go. We're just putting a slight bead on there right now, and we're going to move it around with our hands, just so you know. Take your finger and just move it around, just to give it a little bit of a coat, just like that. Okay, same thing on this one here, just like that. Okay, clean our hands off. And we are going to take the new hardware kit, and we're going to take that new bolt that came with the caliper. All right, so let's open this kit up. Don't lose it, because you are going to need everything that's in this kit. For now, we're just going to put this and this, these two. One of them we're going to put on the bolt already like this. And we're going to put that down on the ground. We're going to put this with it, because we are going to use this as well. These are the mounting hardware kit that's going onto the mounting bracket. You just put it on right here like this, push it, just like that, and make sure that that little bit right down inside there is pushed in all the way nice and tight. Turn it over. This is the piece here I'm telling you about. That's got to be nice and tight inside that caliper. Okay? Caliper bracket, I should say. Okay? Put it down here like this. Push it over the top, like that, and push that in. And the reason that that's got to be tight in there is because if you don't push it in tight, this will fit on, but this will touch the rotor, and it'll make a squealing noise. Okay, so we're going to take this. We're going to take our two bolts. Remember, we took the two bolts out right here. We're going to put some lubricant on these threads right here, even though there is a little on here now. We're going to add some more to it. Okay. Just like that. Same thing here. You don't need a lot, just a little bit. Okay. Take our mounting bracket, lift it up in here like this. Hold it in place. Now don't worry about that lubricant on the rotor. We're going to clean that off before we put this all together. All right, we're going to catch that one bolt right there, just by a couple threads. Once we have it caught by hand, we're just going to snug it in just a couple turns with our ratchet. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to take our second bolt and put our second bolt in from the back as well. You're going to have to slide the bracket around a little bit to get it to line up. And then once you have it caught, both of the bolts are caught in here. Now you can tighten them up with the ratchet and tighten it down. All right, and this one is still turning in fairly easy, so I'm going to do it by hand. We are going to torque these two bolts in here, but for now, we're going to continue. We'll come back to that in just a minute. Spin it again. Make sure you have no contact whatsoever. Nothing. Okay? Now I want to point something out to you. If you don't have that bolt right there, you can take a lug nut. In this case, I'm using the lock because it goes on further. You could put this on there and turn it in, and that will hold the rotor in place as well while you're working. That's if you don't have this screw. Okay? And the reason you're doing that is because these bolts or nuts are not long enough to hold that rotor on. All right, so that's nice and tight. The rotor will not be going anywhere. Next thing we're going to do now, we're going to take our brake pads, and what you want to do with a brake pad is you always want to make sure the sensor here is in this location. That's where you want to put the bracket. I put the sensor on for this location. So make sure it's like this, that the sensors line up exactly, because this could be a mirror image and this sensor could be up there if it's the pad for the other side. All right, so now we have these. That's the correct ones. We're going to put that down here. We're going to take a little bit of brake lubricant. We're going to put it on here, just like this. We're going to push it on with our finger, just like that, and like that, and here. I know there's a lot of controversy about using the grease on these. I always did, and I always will. Some people don't like it, but that's personal preference. All right, now we take our brake pad, put our brake pad in here, and just push it, and it goes right in there just like it's supposed to. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to take some more lubricant, put it on here. You will see this lubricant in my store. If you look down underneath the video in my Amazon store, you'll see this is in there as well. Just like that. So that covers everywhere that the metal is going to touch is going to be coated. All right, put it on here, push it in, just like that. Okay? Let's clean off our hands. And like I said, we're going to come back later on and we're going to clean off all that excess that's on here. Just so you know. Including the rotor that you see right here. We're going to clean that off as well. Okay? Now, every place that is going to touch on the caliper, I'll show you what I mean. And when you look at this caliper, when this caliper goes on here, it's going to touch on here and here, and back in there. We're going to put a slight bit of silicone on there as well. You don't need a lot, you just need a little bit, so that's what we're going to do. Just a little bit on here, a little bit on there, and just a little bit on the piston as well. And that's it. Let's clean our hands off again. Okay. Now remember the other ones that came off, they didn't have these spreader clips, but this particular case it does have the spreaders, so we are going to put them on there like this. And there's a tiny little hole in the brake pad right here that these clips connect into, so that's what we're going to do. Hold the brake pads in because they will push out. Okay? Same thing on the bottom here. I'll get these in and then you can see what I'm doing. Okay? Just like that. And we'll take our caliper, put our caliper over the top, push it in like this, and if it doesn't fit, you just push these pins in a little bit, the slide pins, and then we're going to catch our bolts one at a time up on the top like this. And before we tighten anything up, we're going to do the exact same thing on the bottom down here. Okay. Now that we have it caught, we can screw the caliper bolts in. We're just going to snug them down for now. We're not going to tighten them yet. Stop. And then we'll do the exact same thing on this one here. Snug it down. Now remember, if you're trying to tighten that screw in the back, that 12 millimeter, it rotates, stick your 17 millimeter wrench on here, put this on here, and snug it down. Same thing on the bottom. Okay, so now our caliper mounting bolts here are tight. Our caliper bracket bolts are both tight. We are going to torque these down in just a minute, but now our caliper's on, brake pads are in, spreader clips are in. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to connect up our brake line on here. The way you do that is you slide on that one washer onto the nut, put this through here, just like that. Take the other washer, put the other washer right on there like that. And this little tab right here has got to fit into a little hole on the side right there. And you hold the line with one hand and you can screw it in with the other. Make sure you line up that little tab right there with the hole. Make sure that that little tab right there is connected into that small hole where it's supposed to be. And now we can snug this down here too. Now remember what this paper said here, soft aluminum, do not cross thread or over tighten. Damaged threads voids the warranty. So do not over tighten it. All right, we're going to snug it down just till it touches, and then just a little bit more. And now we can remove our vice grips that were on there. That's it. Okay, so everything is now done. Okay, we're going to bleed the brakes now. We have our assistant sitting in the vehicle. We made sure that the brake fluid in the reservoir is full. And now we're going to open up this valve. We're going to have our assistant pump the brake pedal 3 or 4 times, step on the brake, and hold it down while I open this up. And we're going to let the fluid out. And when it's to the floor, we're going to close the valve. And we're going to let our assistant take the foot off the pedal and then pump it up again. All right, so let's do that. Okay, pump it up. Pump it again. Okay, step to the floor. Okay, you can let go now. Okay, now that we have the fluid coming out with no air, it's all bled, and that's it. This job is done.